And watch the gas. Wow. Hard data points what the poundage is like. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Hunter Constantine, and today we're doing something a little sacrilegious, and I just feel icky doing it, but we're doing it for you guys. We're gonna review Glock triggers. Ugh. Anyways, we got a lot of requests on some of the comments asking about the Glock trigger compared to the Apex MFP and 2011 triggers, this, that, and the other. So I've got 4 different triggers for you. We have 3 Glock 34s, 1 Glock 17. Let's run through what we've got on this table and what we're going to be shooting today and kind of comparing them. First things first, in this top corner, we've got a Gen 5 Glock 34 with the Johnny Glock combat trigger in it. The Johnny Glock triggers are the #1 comment I see. Please review, blah, blah, blah. I bought these triggers. I paid for them. Actually, you guys paid for them with the support that we've gotten from this channel with the Constantine carry belt. Down here, we've got the TTI Combat Master. This has factory internals that are polished and re-angled by a local Tucson shooter. I might be slightly biased towards this trigger because I have the most time on this gun, but again, I will explain what I like about each of these triggers because I think they all have their little nuances. Right here, we have my very first competition pistol. When I started USPSA, I shot this gun for a handful of months. It is a Sares Glock 34 that's just Frankenstein together to be my little baby. Okay, it's got a little Zev barrel in there, super accurate, and we've got a custom Frankenstein trigger. We've got an Apex tactical shoe, we've got a Sares tactical trigger bar, and then a ghost connector. Okay, all factory springs in this, all factory springs in the TTI gun. For the Monsoon tactical gun, I believe we are using, I don't know what color it is because I'm colorblind, but not the orange spring or the gold spring, the other spring that comes with Johnny Glocks. This should be around 4.5 pounds. And the last Glock is the Noveske Glock 17. This is just a factory lower Noveske upper with their R1 rifling on the barrel. Very accurate, very fun video. We shoot it fast in that one. But this also has a Johnny Glocks trigger in it, but the competition model. This one should be coming in right at about 3.5 pounds with the orange spring and not the other spring. So we've got 2 Johnny Glock triggers. We've got a factory trigger that's repolished, re-angled, and then we've got a Frankenstein trigger that I put together. And we're gonna be doing all of the drills today from concealed. We've got the Tier 1 MSP holster per usual. It is light centric, and I only brought 1 Surefire light with me, so we will be swapping it from gun to gun. This holster builds retention off the light. Of course, we're going to be using the Constantine carry belt. And like I said, this belt supports the channel. It is the most comfortable EDC belt. There's thousands and thousands of you using this thing, so make sure you go to hunterconstantine.com. Go check it out. We've got a rigid portion in front to hold your gun. We've got a stretchy portion in back, so there's no hot spots on your body. They're so comfortable. I just got done with a 4,000-mile road trip across country, shot the Wyoming Governor's Cup match. We got the limited optics title with a carry optics gun. And then we did some law enforcement training for some boys up in North Dakota. Then we messed around in some mountains. I had a gun on me the entire time. What else we got? We're gonna be shooting Blazer ammunition. None of the blue bullet stuff. You know, you guys like to beat me up for it. It really doesn't matter. So I'm gonna shoot factory ammo for you. And the guns, guess what? They're still gonna shoot flat. I'm still gonna manage the recoil. And yeah, shot timer, paper targets. Figure out where your hits are. Keep yourself accountable with the time. And we're gonna get into it. What we're gonna do is just run some drills, and I'm just going to talk about the triggers. What I like about it, what I don't like about it. And we'll see what type of hit factors we lay down. If there's one trigger that I prefer over others. And then the other question that we get in the comments is the Johnny Glock's trigger worth it? Let's gear up, let's get shooting. All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna write down times, hit factors, and things, and we're just gonna take these guns through different challenges so we can get some hard data points from what these guns look like. Behind me, we have a 15-yard piece of steel, and I'm gonna do 5 draws. We're going for the fastest draw. So whatever the fastest of those 5 draws are is going to count for score today. Just write it down on a USPSA target. And first things first, we have the Johnny Glock's competition trigger in the Noveske 17, Glock 17. .151. Miss. Miss again. I'm missing to the left. 136, classic Glock trigger. There it is. 130. Oh, it took a second to find the dot. 156. So we got a 130 for the Johnny. Not too bad. One thing I'm noticing on this is I think I probably wanted a lighter pull. This is still feeling heavy. Let's go right to the next Johnny trigger. You know, I think I might have these mixed up. I think this is the competition trigger and that's the combat trigger, because this one's feeling more about 3.5. That one's feeling more 4.5. So disregard what I said in the intro. This is the competition trigger on the competition 34. This is the combat on the threaded guns. Here we go. Here is now the Johnny Glock's comp trigger. Ooh. So 125. 125 again with a hit. 120. Oh, miss, low left. 114 though. Oh, low left again. These triggers are beating me up. The fastest we got was a 120 hit on that one. Shaved off a tenth of a second on it. One thing I'm noticing compared to like the Apex triggers or like a 2011 is that there's just a lot more interaction happening with the trigger. So like I have to, it's not just breaking easy for me and nice. I am mashing through it, my grip's not solid enough, and I'm pulling it low left through that trigger press. So we got to tighten up the grip a little bit. Do the TTI Combat Master. This is about as close to my Apex triggers as I have. And again, this is a factory trigger, repolished, re-angled. 123. That was fast. 114. Oh my God, my sight wasn't even on the target. I was aiming to the left, but I was like, I need to break the shot. 126. Lost my sight, found it for 139, last one. 126, we got a 114 on the factory. Last but certainly not least, the Apex 34 Frankenstein trigger. 120. 122. I have so much sweat in my eyes right now. My buddies from Gun Thoughts told me don't put sunscreen above my eyes because it's gonna sweat into my eyes, and I forgot that they told me that. 132. Oh, low left again. 118. 117. The fastest, factory, 114 draw. Second fastest, Apex with a 117. Third, Johnny comp trigger, 120. Last but not least, Johnny combat with 130. That being said, these are all within like 1500ths of a second of each other, which is marginal. And I think there's some degree of me warming up on the guns too. This was absolutely cold rounds. This is the first time I've shot a gun 9 days. Haven't fired a round in 9 days, and now we're out here shooting. We did draws, gotta do build drills. I think we'll just do like best of 3. So the best clean build drill, all alphas, 3 reps per gun. Yeah, and we're gonna run backwards now. So we're gonna start with the Apex Frankenstein trigger. Look how dry this is. Jello sauce. That was all alphas, 199. $196 all alpha. That was only, yeah, that was 6. That was a 202. Some trigger freeze in there. It's right after the first shot. Yeah, it was a 10th slower. All alphas, 196 fastest time. Much better. These guns are so hot. It is 107 degrees on the thermostat, meaning it's probably pushing 110, 115 on the range. It is a hot boy summer, and I'm happy you're here with me to enjoy it. Polished and re-angled factory gun, Combat Master Pistola. See what we can do. Woo! It's a 201, slow first shot. Ah, 206. Grouping's way better on this gun though. So 209, and I dropped a Charlie. 201, fastest one with the TTI gun. And that really just comes down to getting that solid grip out of your draw. If only I had a video about draw or something along those lines. We're gonna cut to a quick commercial because I need ammo. Spaghetti! All right, we're back. We're back from the commercial break. We got ammo. We've got the Johnny Comp Monsoon Tacky Glock 34. Oh, Daddy. Daddy's home. Let's see what we can do. Oh my gosh. This is significantly heavier than the other two triggers. Those are 243. Okay, I really just have to hold on to it. That was a 241. My Glock identifies as a 1911. This is bullshit. We gotta get the 124s. Yep. So we lubed this gun. We got some spicier rounds in here because we have the comps. Let's look at these comps real quick. Okay, we got a chunk port and then a 3 port. And watch the gas. Wow. Oh, that feels so much better. 224. 199, broke 2. That's what I wanted. Personally, sub 2 bill drills. That's what you should be striving for. That's what you should be getting. What's interesting is how close these guns are. I think we have a 5/1000th of a second split right now. Not too shabby. One gun left to go. The Johnny Comp trigger. Jesus Christ. 271. And I threw a Charlie. That was better. 219. Fuck me. 234. 219. Best time. I'll just say it. My trigger press fundamentals are kind of shit. Because as soon as we got to this like heavy 4.5, 5 pound trigger, give or take, I have to diligently think about breaking through the wall of the trigger, which is a detriment on my part. And, you know, we're all going to have different deficiencies at different times. Let's talk about what we're thinking about these guns so far. So we'll talk about some pros that I like about it and some negatives, okay? I think we'll just keep ranting on about this combat trigger, okay? Combat triggers are stupid, okay? All of these guns are safe. Johnny Glock triggers, website claims are drop safe. The Apex has vigorous testing. I think it's 6 meters onto concrete, dropping it. And then of course the factory ones, they're drop safe from factory. After you tune and polish them, I like to put a primed piece of brass in, no projectile, no powder. Put it in a vise and smack it with a hammer. I know it's not technically a drop test, but this is the only gun so far that is not like certified drop testable. But some of our friends like Grantham have done drop tests on different guns, so you should go check that out. So let's start off. Combat trigger, super duper heavy wall. Minimal take up on the trigger, but I am pressing through on that pretty aggressively. Minimal. Press. Breaking. Like, I am putting a significant amount of force on that trigger to break it. I know you can tune these things. We just dropped them right into the gun. So I'm sure there's some Johnny boys out there that are like, I don't care, okay? I'm a simple man. I just want to put it in the gun, forget about it. The Frankenstein trigger, dropped in, no problem. The factory one, that takes a lot of time, but like for my M&Ps, I literally just put the shoe in, put the sear in, I'm done, and it's fantastic. So heavy wall on this pulling through. You know, some people could make the argument that, you know, for law enforcement application, military application, like you want a heavier trigger because you want to deliberately press it. I think that's bullshit because you should be on your sight. You should have trigger discipline. And I'd rather have a better trigger to place a more precise shot and not have my trigger press influence it, because in a high stress situation, like we're on a flat range, there's no stress here. There's just not a thing. So like in a defensive situation, in a military, law enforcement, whatever, I would rather have my gear working for me rather than me working on my gear. So Johnny Glock competition trigger, much better pull. There's a little bit more take up on this trigger. Just a little bit. You can see the trigger shoes are different too, or the bladed safety is a little bit different. But the pull is much more my style. Probably in that 3 to 3.5 pound range. And it feels like this gun wants to run. I'm letting my finger ride on this trigger forward and coming back, and we're just slapping the shit out of it, and it's working for us. The factory, this is hands down my favorite one so far. We'll look at the take up on this. We have minimal take up just like the combat. Walls right here, nice, solid defined wall. Break through. It's actually a little bit heavier than the combat trigger. Sorry, it's a little bit heavier than the Johnny competition trigger. But the take up in the wall is really nice. It reminds me of that Apex. So when you're pressing all the way through, you don't even notice it. And then finally on this Apex one, this one has a lot more mush to it, but it is hands down the lightest. I mean, like, even just the audible noise of this doesn't even feel like the striker's dropping. But this has a copious amount of rounds through it. It's definitely the lightest pull, but the most amount of travel. So, you know, there's little things you want to look at, whether like that wall is important to you, the trigger weight, the pre-travel, and then the reset on these two. The best resets on this factory one here. Reset, minimal. Competition trigger, lot weaker reset. On the factory polished, it's pushing my finger back forward. This one I have to release my finger and it's following my finger rather than it physically moving my finger, but a little bit more reset on it. The combat trigger, minimal reset, nice defined wall, positive reset. It's actually pushing my finger just slightly past the wall. And then finally on the Apex, also positive right to the wall. Okay, just so you guys get an idea of it. That's like the number one thing I do with a gun when I start playing with it, is like I want to see where the trigger breaks, where the wall is, what the poundage is like, what the reset is. That kind of will give you a general idea of how that gun's going to shoot, and what type of input you need to put on the gun. It's hot. We've gone through 2 tests so far. I'm gonna grab water, we're gonna reload mags, and we're gonna get into the next drills. The next drill, we're doing like a pseudo steel challenge transition drill, okay? And we're not transitioning genders, we're just transitioning targets. So we've got 4 pieces of steel back here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in the middle we've got the little hexagon knockdown plate. Now, this is pretty cool. You guys might not see this before. You probably have. But when I hit this, just like that. So what's gonna happen is I have to get hits on the targets. We're gonna have to get all 4 hits on the static steel. And we're gonna have to knock it down. If I have perfect accuracy, it's only take 5 rounds. Again, we're gonna run this 3 times per gun. Best time gets to be on the scoreboard, and I'm gonna stand in this box. If I'm not on the range, you can find me in the box. Let's rock and roll. We've got the combat trigger. Oh my gosh. 3 extra shots, 526. Let's reset. Sniper. Sniper 362, that's more like it. More like it. Oh! We're counting, that was a spinner. That was a 331. Look at that. Okay, 330. Fun is more like it. Let's grab the next gun. Johnny Glock's competition, and we got the 124s in here again. Wow, okay. 529. 370. Wow, that felt good. 338. Lapua. Yeah, dialed in on that one. 7 thousandths slower than the Combat. Right now, the Combat's in the lead for the first time in this Glock trigger testing history. Imagine that. Next gun. Here we go, factory polished. Let us rock and roll. $369. All right. Over transitioned on this last target here. One makeup shot. Kind of a slow first shot, 149. We're getting faster draws from about 3 yards further back. $355 with 2 makeup shots. Running that trigger a little bit faster. Last one, $355 is the fastest so far. With a makeup shot for $344. I just want to see if I can shoot this one clean real quick though. $344 is the time we're recording. Fuck me. $324 with a 32 transition. Would have been a sub 3, but too bad it doesn't count. Apex Frankenstein, the last gun. And I think I have a theory that this will be the fastest just because of the optics on it. I got a nice green dot, I can see it nice and bright. Here we go. Makeup shot, 374, second round. Rock, 353. Gas. Sub 3, 291. And I want to show you just how small this target is back here. Nice. All right, so we just did 3 tests, 4 triggers, 4 different guns, and let's draw some conclusions here. Fastest draw we have with the factory polished and re-angled at 114. Second place, we have Apex at 117. Third place, we have the Johnny Comp at 120, and then the Johnny Combat at 130. For the bill drills, the fastest one is the Apex trigger at 196, followed by the Comp trigger at 199, factory at 201, and the Combat at 219. They're all relatively close though. Now for the transition drill, the fastest one is the Apex, 291. Second place is the Johnny Combat at 331. Third place is the Johnny Comp at 338. And then last place is the Factory at 344. So out of these triggers, the Apex took 2 out of the 3 challenges that we put up for. Now that being said, they're all similar times. And they're all similarly shit because it's a Glock trigger. I'm just kidding. I know you Glock boys are just mad at me because I just said that, but it is what it is. They're all relatively close. So whether you want to spend like 12 hours on your factory trigger, repolishing, re-angling, if you want to drop 200 bucks on one of these Johnny Glock triggers, put it in your gun, forget about it. Or if you want to go down the rabbit hole of just trying different parts and making a mosh posh Frankenstein trigger, based on these times, they're all going to come out pretty similarly. What I'm looking for in a trigger is somewhere around a 3-pound break, minimal take up on the trigger, a defined wall, and a positive reset. So for me, I'd probably go with either my factory polished re-angled or my Frankenstein trigger. I think these Johnny Glocks might do better if I spend more time with them. These are the only rounds I have on a Johnny Glock trigger, and we threw them in the guns last night. That being said, pick your poison. Hopefully this helps you with your decision of what you'd like to do with your Glock, and that's all we have for today. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and actually you might want to stick around just for a few more seconds because I got a bonus clip for you. We got to do it. Smith & Wesson, we're doing it in one take. Doing it for the gang, showing superiority. $101. $183. $183! $289. That's on the gang, dude. That's on the gang.